The day my father spat in my face was the day I stopped being his daughter. I remember watching the glob of saliva slide down my cheek, feeling nothing but a cold, creeping certainty that everything was about to change. My name is Rosalind, and until 3 months ago, I was the trusted financial assistant at my father's company. Now I'm the family pariah, accused of stealing $80,000 from his personal accounts. "How could you?" he roared, veins bulging in his neck. The mahogany conference table between us did nothing to diminish his rage. "My own flesh and blood?" I wiped my face with my sleeve, keeping my voice steady. "Dad, I didn't take anything. Check the records again, please. We've seen enough," my mother cut in, her manicured nails drumming against her coffee cup. "The timestamps, the access logs, all point to you, Rosalind. You always had that look in your eyes." "What look?" "Like you were just waiting for your chance." I glanced around the room, at my father's red face, my mother's pursed lips, and my sister Kayla's perfectly composed expression of concern. The family intervention they'd arranged felt more like an execution. "Show me the proof," I demanded, reaching for the stack of papers on the table. Kayla slid them away. "Don't make this harder than it needs to be, Ros. Just admit it, and we can work something out." "Work something out?" I laughed, the sound harsh even to my own ears. "You mean like when I caught you using Dad's credit card 2 years ago and kept quiet to keep the peace?" The room went silent. Kayla's face flickered for just a moment before settling back into concerned sister mode. "That was different," she said softly. "I was young and I paid it back. This is $80,000, Ros. Who does that to their own family?" My father slammed his hand on the table. "Enough! I want you out of my house and out of my company by tonight. The police have already been notified." "You called the police?" My voice cracked. "Without even letting me explain." "Explain what?" My mother stood, smoothing her silk blouse. "How you betrayed everyone who ever trusted you. How you threw away everything we gave you. Your father gave you a career, a future. He gave me a job because he needed someone he could trust." The words burst out before I could stop them. "And I did everything right, every single day. I never—" "Get out!" My father's voice was ice now. "You're no longer welcome here. Patricia, call security." I stood on shaky legs, gathering my purse. "You're making a mistake." "The only mistake," my mother said, "was thinking you'd ever amount to anything more than this." The walk to my office felt endless. Security watched as I packed my personal items into a cardboard box. My degree in finance, family photos I now wanted to burn, the stupid world's best daughter mug Kayla had given me last Christmas. In the parking lot, Kayla caught up with me. I turned, hoping against hope that she'd admit something, anything. Instead, she leaned close, her designer perfume choking me. "You should have been faster," she whispered, then clicked away in her heels. I sat in my car for a long time, staring at nothing. My phone buzzed with messages from Eli, my best friend, asking if I was okay. I ignored them all. The drive home to my small apartment was a blur. I kept waiting for tears, for the breakdown I probably deserved, but they didn't come. Instead, my mind was already spinning, calculating, remembering. The access logs, the timestamps, the hidden overdraft history I'd noticed but never reported. All the times Kayla had asked for my login credentials, just to check something quick. I pulled into my parking spot and grabbed the box of belongings. A photo slipped out, last year's Christmas party, the whole family together. Kayla in the centre, of course, glowing in her red dress. Me on the edge, always on the edge. My phone buzzed again. This time it was my Uncle Brian, the family black sheep who'd been cast out years ago, for reasons nobody discussed. "I heard what happened," his text read. "History repeats itself in this family. Call me when you're ready for the truth." I deleted the family photo and walked into my apartment. They wanted a villain, fine, but they'd forgotten something crucial about me. I was damn good at my job, and every villain needs a proper origin story. Opening my laptop, I pulled up my personal records. Years of careful notes, backed up files and copied emails. I'd kept them as insurance, never thinking I'd need them. Time to get to work, I muttered, cracking my knuckles. My father had taught me 2 important lessons in business. Always keep receipts, and never start a war you can't win. Well, Dad, I thought, let's see if those lessons paid off. Because this wasn't about money anymore. This was about truth. And I was going to make them choke on it. 3 cups of coffee and 5 hours into my investigation, I found the first crack in their perfect lie. My hands shook as I dialed a number I hadn't used in months. Amelia Johnson speaking. Amelia, it's Rosalind. I need a favour. A pause. I heard what happened at Delgado Financial. Your father sent out quite the memo. I bet he did. I took a deep breath. Remember that conversation we had about irregular account activities last year? The ones you flagged but were told to ignore? Of course. I still have the paperwork. I sat up straighter. You kept it? Honey, I've been in banking long enough to know when something smells wrong. Those transactions weren't normal, and your sister's spending patterns were... Wait, I interrupted. You knew it was Kayla. Suspected. But you shut down any investigation before it started. Said it was a family matter. I closed my eyes, remembering. I'd covered for Kayla so many times it had become instinct. I need those records, Amelia. All of them. This could cost me my job. They're trying to send me to jail for theft. Please. Another pause. Give me an hour. And, Rosalind, be careful. Rich families have long memories. While waiting, I spread my evidence across my living room floor. Bank statements, transaction logs, even birthday cards with telling dates. A pattern emerged. Small withdrawals at first, growing bolder over time. My phone buzzed. Eli. You can't ignore me forever, he texted. I'm coming over. 20 minutes later, he was at my door with takeout and a concerned expression. Talk to me, Ros. I let him in, watching as he took in the paper chaos. I'm building a case. Against your family. Are you sure that's wise? Wise? I laughed. No. Necessary? Absolutely. He sat on my couch, pushing aside some documents. Walk me through it. I pointed to the timeline I'd created. See these withdrawals? They started small 2 years ago, always under the radar. Then they got bigger, bolder. And you think Kayla... I know it was Kayla. My laptop pinged. An email from Amelia. Watch this. The video was grainy but clear enough. There was Kayla at the ATM. Timestamp matching the exact moment $80,000 disappeared from our father's account. She wasn't even trying to hide her face. Holy shit, Eli whispered. She used my login credentials, ones I'd given her months ago when she claimed she needed to check something for Dad. I was an idiot. You were being a good sister. I was being a fool. I pulled up another document. Look at these offshore account attempts, all traced back to her IP address. Eli leaned forward. What are you going to do? First, I'm going to... My phone rang. Unknown number. Rosalind? A familiar voice. Uncle Brian. Got time for that chat. I put him on speaker. What did you mean about history repeating itself? Your father's not as clean as he pretends. 20 years ago, he accused me of stealing company funds. Sound familiar? My hand froze over the keyboard. What happened? I found irregularities in his accounts. When I confronted him, suddenly I was the thief. Your mother backed his story. The whole family turned their backs. Why didn't you fight back? I did. But money talks, and your father had more of it. Be smarter than I was, Rosalind. Follow the money all the way down. After hanging up, I turned to Eli. I need your help. With what? Dad's birthday is next week. He always gets a digital portfolio presentation, something I used to prepare. This year, Kayla's handling it. And? I smiled, pulling up my old work files. And I still have admin access to the presentation software. Time to add some special features. Roz, Eli's voice was worried. This could destroy your family. They destroyed themselves when they chose lies over truth. I started typing. I'm just making sure everyone sees it. My phone buzzed again. Amelia, sending more files. Found something interesting, her message read. Check the transfer patterns against your sister's social media posts, specifically her Dubai trip last month. I pulled up Kayla's Instagram. There she was, posing by the Burj Khalifa, dripping in new designer clothes. The dates matched perfectly with a series of suspicious transfers. Got you, I whispered. What's next? Eli asked. I turned to him, my plan crystallizing. Dad's birthday dinner is always at La Maison. The whole family will be there, plus half the board members. Perfect time for a little show and tell, don't you think? This is going to get ugly. It already is ugly. I held up the ATM photo. They just don't know it yet. I worked through the night, embedding evidence into what looked like a normal celebration portfolio. Every photo, every achievement slide had a secret waiting to be revealed. Let them eat cake, I thought. I'll serve the truth for dessert. I sat alone in my apartment, watching the clock tick towards 7. La Maison would be seating my family right about now. My mother would be adjusting her pearls, my father straightening his tie, and Kayla, sweet, innocent Kayla, would be preparing to present the birthday portfolio she'd worked so hard on. My phone lit up. Eli. Last chance to call this off. Not a chance, I texted back. I poured myself a glass of wine, the expensive kind I'd been saving for a special occasion. This felt special enough. My laptop was open to the presentation software, cursor hovering over the begin button. 7:15 p.m. Right on schedule, I saw Kayla log in to start the presentation. I could picture the scene, the private dining room, the projector screen, everyone's attention focused forward. My father would be at the head of the table, probably already 2 drinks in. I clicked execute. The first few slides played normally, childhood photos, business achievements, the carefully curated story of a successful family man. Then came slide 7. My phone exploded. First call, Kayla, ignored. Second call, mother, ignored. Third call, father, ignored. Fourth call, Uncle Brian, I answered. You magnificent beast, he laughed. I'm watching from the bar. Your sister just turned whiter than the tablecloth. How's Dad taking it? He knocked over his wine when the ATM footage started playing. Patricia's trying to end the presentation, but someone, wonder who, seems to have locked the controls. I smiled, sipping my wine. Technical difficulties can be so frustrating. The board members are watching everything. Your father's lawyer just arrived. Bit late for damage control. Another call beeped through. Amelia. Hold on, Uncle Brian. Rosalind. Amelia's voice was urgent. The subpoena just went through. They can't touch those records now. They're officially part of a fraud investigation. Perfect timing. I switched back to Uncle Brian. Still there? Oh, yes. Your mother just left the room in tears. Kayla's trying to convince everyone it's a hack job. But that time-stamped confession you included? Masterful. My phone buzzed with texts. Kayla. What have you done? Mother. Call me immediately. Father. My office, tomorrow, 9 a.m. Unknown number. Ms. Delgado, this is Robert Kane from the Financial Review Board. We need to discuss your recent evidence submission. I forwarded the last one to Amelia. She responded instantly. Don't reply. Let them sweat. Uncle Brian was still narrating. The board's calling an emergency meeting. Right here, right now. Your father looks like he's about to have a stroke. Is Kayla still there? No, she ran out right after the Dubai transfers showed up. Smart girl, probably calling her lawyer. My wine glass was empty. I considered a refill but needed my head clear. The presentation would be ending soon, finishing with a simple message. Happy birthday, Dad. The truth is the gift that keeps on giving. My phone rang again. This time it was Eli. "I just got 6 calls from your mother," he said. "She's threatening to call the police." "For what?" "Showing videos of her daughter stealing money." "Roz, are you okay?" I considered the question. "I feel light, like I've been carrying something heavy for years and finally put it down." "Your mother left me a voicemail. Want to hear it?" "Speaker." Her voice filled my apartment, shaking with rage and something else, fear. "We need to talk, now." One long breath, then a whisper. "Please." I'd never heard her say please before. Uncle Brian texted. "Board members are leaving. Your father's still sitting there, staring at the screen. I think you broke him." Good, I thought. Let him sit there and watch it loop. Every transaction, every lie, every moment his precious Kayla showed her true colours. My intercom buzzed. I checked the security camera. Kayla, mascara streaking down her face. "Let me up," she pleaded into the speaker. "Please, Roz, I can explain everything." I pressed the talk button. "I think you've explained enough for one night. It wasn't supposed to go this far. I never meant... Goodbye, Kayla." I muted the intercom but watched her on the camera. She slid down my building's wall, crying into her hands. The designer purse she'd bought with stolen money fell beside her. My phone lit up one last time, Uncle Brian. "Remember when you were 10 and Kayla broke your science project? Your parents made you apologize to her for making her feel bad about it?" "I remember." "How does revenge taste?" I looked at my empty wine glass, at the chaos unfolding on my phone, at my crying sister on the security feed. "Like birthday cake," I texted back, "sweet with a bitter aftertaste." The presentation would be ending now, but something told me the real show was just beginning. The knock on my door came at 8 a.m. the next morning. I'd been expecting it, had my phone recording in my pocket, and the envelope ready on my coffee table. Kayla stood there, a different person from the polished princess of yesterday. Her eyes were puffy, her designer clothes wrinkled. "Can I come in?" I stepped aside, letting her enter. She perched on the edge of my couch like she was afraid to fully commit to sitting. "You look terrible," I said. "I haven't slept." She rubbed her eyes, smearing what was left of her mascara. "Dad's lawyers have been at the house all night. The board they're talking about an external audit." "Sounds serious." "This isn't funny, Roz." She leaned forward. "You have to help me fix this." "Fix what, exactly? The theft? The lies? Or just getting caught?" "You don't understand." Her voice cracked. "I was in trouble. Tony, my boyfriend, he had gambling debts. He said people would hurt him if he didn't pay." I sat across from her, pressing record on my phone. "Tell me everything. I'm listening." "Tony said he just needed a loan. Small at first, you know, but then it got bigger. He promised to pay it back. He manipulated me, Roz, made me feel like I had no choice." "And the Dubai trip?" She flinched. I was stressed. I needed to get away." "With stolen money." "I was going to pay it back. I had a plan." "Was your plan to frame me?" Tears welled in her eyes. "Tony said nobody would look too closely if we used your login. That you'd get fired, maybe, but not arrested. I never thought Dad would... Would what? Spit in my face? Call the police? Destroy my career?" "I'm sorry." She burst into tears. "I'm so sorry. Please, you have to help me. They're talking about pressing charges." "Who is?" "The board. Dad can't stop them. It's out of his hands now, and the bank's fraud department is involved." She grabbed my hands. "But if you tell them you were in on it, that it was a misunderstanding..." I pulled away. 3 minutes. "What? That's how long it took you to try to drag me into another lie." I reached for the envelope. "Here's what's going to happen next." She opened it with shaking hands. Her face went pale. "What is this?" "A certified letter demanding reimbursement of $82,536, including legal fees. Court date is already set." "You're actually suing family over money?" I leaned forward. You sued me first, just did it sneakier. I can't pay this. Everything I had went to Tony's debts. Ah, yes, Tony. I pulled out my phone, showing her a screen. The boyfriend who, according to his social media, was in Vegas last week with his actual girlfriend, while you were in Dubai. She stared at the photo, mouth open. There is no Tony with gambling debts, is there, Kayla? Just you, your spending habits, and a convenient scapegoat. She crumpled. Please don't do this. The board meets tomorrow. They'll want to speak with Tony about his role in this. Should I give them his number? Stop. Or should I tell them how you've been running this same scam since college? Remember Sarah from accounting? She caught you 2 years ago, didn't she? Right before she suddenly quit. Kayla stood up so fast she knocked over my coffee table. You're supposed to be my sister. I was your sister, right up until you decided to destroy my life to save your own. What do you want from me? I stood too, calm against her panic. I want you to face consequences, real ones, not the kind Dad can make disappear with his checkbook. I'll tell them everything was my idea, that you knew nothing. Just, please drop the lawsuit. Too late. The wheels are in motion. I walked to my door, opening it. You should call a lawyer, a good one. She stopped in the doorway, tears streaming down her face. Mom was right about you. You're heartless. No, Kayla, I just finally stopped letting you break mine. I smiled. Give Dad my best at tomorrow's board meeting. I hear it's going to be quite a show. After she left, I sent the recording to my lawyer and Amelia. Then I called Uncle Brian. How'd it go? He asked. She tried to blame an imaginary boyfriend, he laughed. Classic Kayla. Your father used to blame imaginary business partners too. The board meets tomorrow. I know, got my invitation this morning. Seems they're bringing in all past accusers to testify. 20 years later, and I finally get my say. I sat back down, surveying my quiet apartment. Think they'll try to settle? Oh, they'll try, but money's not what you want, is it? No. I touched the spot on my cheek where my father's spit had landed. I want truth. Then buckle up, kid. Because tomorrow's when the real family therapy begins. I hung up and checked my email. The board had sent my official summons to appear. Time to pick out my sharpest suit and sharpen my claws even sharper. Family therapy or trial prep. Either way, I was ready. The boardroom felt colder than I remembered. Maybe it was the air conditioning, or maybe it was the ice in my father's eyes as I took my seat. Eli sat beside me, my silent support, while Uncle Brian chose a spot directly across from my parents. Before we begin, my father's lawyer announced, we'd like to propose an alternative to this formal proceeding. You mean a cover-up, Uncle Brian said. My mother flinched. She hadn't aged well in the past week, her perfectly maintained facade showing cracks. We're suggesting family mediation, the lawyer continued. Private, confidential, and recorded, I interrupted. Non-negotiable. Kayla burst in, 20 minutes late, her lawyer trailing behind her. She'd tried for her usual polished look, but anxiety had left its marks. Now that everyone's here, the head of the board, Margaret, spoke up. Let's address the evidence presented at the birthday dinner. That presentation was obtained illegally, Kayla's lawyer protested. I pulled out a folder. Actually, I maintained administrative access to the company's presentation software as part of my duties. Here's the documentation. Perhaps, my father said, his voice strained, we could discuss this as a family first, privately. Like when you discussed the theft allegations against me, I smiled. No thanks. Margaret cleared her throat. We've reviewed the ATM footage and bank records. Ms. Kayla, would you care to explain the transactions? Kayla looked at her lawyer, who nodded. I made some mistakes, but Rosalind gave me her login information. She was involved. Play the recording, I told Eli. He connected his phone to the room's speakers. Kayla's voice filled the space. Tony said nobody would look too closely if we used your login. That you'd get fired, maybe, but not arrested. The colour drained from Kayla's face. And here's the interesting part, Uncle Brian added, sliding forward a document. About this Tony person, my private investigator found no evidence he exists. My mother stood up suddenly. This is ridiculous. We're here to heal as a family, not conduct a trial. Sit down, Patricia, Margaret ordered. Your daughter committed fraud. Multiple instances over several years. She made a mistake. Like I made a mistake? Uncle Brian asked. 20 years ago, when I found similar discrepancies. The room went silent. What's he talking about? Margaret turned to my father. I pulled out another folder. Public records of a settled case from 20 years ago. Uncle Brian accused Dad of embezzlement. Suddenly he was the one accused of theft. Sound familiar? This is ancient history, my father growled. Is it? I stood up, placing more documents on the table. Because I found something interesting. Every time someone in accounting flagged irregular activities, they were either fired or accused of wrongdoing themselves. Sarah from accounting. Remember her, Kayla? Kayla's lawyer whispered something in her ear, but she was already talking. Sarah was stealing too. Sarah's here, I cut in. Would you like me to call her in? Enough! My father slammed his hand down. What do you want, Rosalind? Money, public apology. Name your price. I looked at Eli, who nodded encouragingly. I want 3 things. First, a full audit of the company by an independent firm. Second, all financial control transferred to a third-party trust. And third, I met my father's eyes. I want the truth. All of it. Now. Or what? Or I submit everything, including evidence of your past cover-ups, to the Financial Review Board. Tonight. My mother started crying quietly. Kayla was texting frantically under the table. Uncle Brian looked like he was watching his favourite movie. You would destroy this family? My father asked. You did that when you chose lies over truth. When you taught Kayla that money matters more than honesty. When you spat in my face instead of listening. Margaret stood up. I've heard enough. The board will require full cooperation with an external audit. Mr. Delgado, you'll step down as CEO pending investigation. Kayla, expect formal charges. Wait, Kayla cried. I can explain everything. Save it for your lawyer, Margaret advised. Meeting adjourned. As people filed out, my mother approached me. We were trying to protect you, she whispered, from becoming like him. She gestured at Uncle Brian. You mean honest? She shook her head and left, my father following without a word. Kayla tried to catch my eye, but her lawyer hustled her out. Uncle Brian clapped my shoulder. Worth the 20-year wait. After everyone left, Eli turned to me. You okay? I looked around the empty boardroom, at the family photos on the wall, at my father's empty chair. You know what's funny? I said. They kept talking about destroying the family. They never realized it was already broken. I just made everyone stop pretending. What now? I gathered my documents. Now we wait for Karma to deliver her invoice. And your family? They made their choice. I headed for the door. I'm making mine. The elevator ride down was quiet, but for the first time since this all began, I felt light, free, ready for whatever came next. Kayla's Instagram post appeared 3 days after the board meeting. A perfectly filtered photo of her looking tearful but brave, accompanied by a paragraph that made my blood boil. Family is complicated, it began. Sometimes those closest to us can become toxic and vengeful. My heart breaks as my sister's mental health struggles have led her down a dark path of revenge. My phone rang. Eli. Have you seen it? I'm looking at it right now. I scrolled through the comments. Hundreds of sympathetic responses, people calling me horrible names, promising to support Kayla through this difficult time. She's trying to control the narrative, Eli said. Let her try. I opened my laptop. I've got something better than Instagram filters. Roz, maybe wait. For what? For her to paint me as the unstable sister? To have my father's PR team bury the truth? I pulled up the ATM footage, carefully blurred the faces but left the timestamps clear, added the audio confession, tagged the relevant financial authorities. Going live in 3, 2, 1. The video spread faster than Kayla's post. Within hours, it was picked up by local news. By evening, a journalist was calling. "Ms. Delgado, this is Rachel from the Financial Times. We're running a story on corporate fraud and family businesses. Would you care to comment?" I smiled. "I have documents you might find interesting." My phone buzzed with a text from Uncle Brian. "Turn on Channel 7. There it was, my father's company on the evening news. Breaking: family business under investigation for long-term financial fraud. Kayla called 17 times. I let each one go to voicemail. The 18th call was from my mother. "What have you done?" she hissed. "The neighbours are talking. Your father's colleagues are calling. Do you have any idea what this is doing to our reputation?" "Your reputation?" I laughed. "You mean the carefully constructed lie you've been living? We're your family. No, you're my lesson, and I'm finally learning it." The cease and desist letter arrived by courier the next morning. I forwarded it to my lawyer without opening it. Then came the handwritten note from my father. "What do you want?" Just those 4 words, in his precise handwriting. The same handwriting that had signed my college tuition checks, my first car loan, and, ultimately, the police report accusing me of theft. I took a photo of the note and sent it to Uncle Brian. "He sent me the same thing," he texted back. 20 years ago, word for word." "What did you do?" "I took the settlement. Biggest mistake of my life." My phone lit up with notifications. Kayla had posted again, this time with screenshots of old text messages between us, carefully edited to make me look unhinged. "Your sister's getting desperate," Eli observed over coffee later. "She's burning through her credibility fast." "Good." I showed him my laptop screen. "Because the audit team just found something interesting in the offshore accounts." "More theft?" "Better. Evidence of systematic fraud going back decades. Dad's signature on everything." Eli sat back. "This is bigger than Kayla now, isn't it?" "It always was. She's just the thread that unravelled everything." My phone buzzed. An email from Margaret and the board. Subject line: "Formal investigation findings. Preliminary report." "Want me to stay while you read it?" Eli asked. I nodded, opening the document. Pages of financial data, transaction histories, and one conclusion that made my heart stop. Evidence suggests a multi-generational pattern of financial misconduct, with current management actively participating in fraud, embezzlement, and systematic cover-ups. Another text from Uncle Brian. "They're offering me a settlement. 7 figures. You?" "Haven't heard yet." "They're scared, kid. Use it." As if on cue, my father's lawyer called. "We'd like to discuss terms." "No terms," I said. "Just truth." "Your father is prepared to be very generous." "I don't want his money. I want his confession." "Be reasonable." "I am." "Tell him he has 24 hours to come clean to the board, or I release everything to the press. And I mean everything." I hung up and turned to Eli. "Want to get dinner? I have a feeling tomorrow's going to be busy." "You're really going to do this? Risk everything?" I looked at my phone. More missed calls from Kayla, angry texts from my mother, that single note from my father asking what I wanted. "They took everything already," I said. "Now I'm just returning the favour." My phone pinged one last time, a message from an unknown number. "This is Margaret. Your father just called an emergency board meeting for tomorrow morning. Said he has something important to share." I smiled, putting my phone away. Looks like Karma's about to make a delivery. The boardroom was packed tighter than a courtroom. My father sat at the head of the table, looking like he'd aged a decade in a week. My mother wasn't there. Apparently, she'd taken a sudden vacation to her sister's house. "Before we begin," my father said, his voice rougher than usual, "I'd like to speak with my daughter. Privately." Anything you have to say, I replied. You can say in front of everyone. He nodded slowly, loosening his tie. Very well. What are your terms? I pulled out a document. 3 things. First, a full confession. Not just about Kayla's theft, but about Uncle Brian, about Sarah, about all of it. And, second, you'll transfer all financial control to an independent trust. No more family members touching company money. He flinched but nodded. The third, you'll add an honesty clause to your will. Any heir who commits fraud or financial misconduct forfeits their inheritance permanently. You want to control my legacy? I want to protect it from becoming what you made it. The door burst open. Kayla rushed in, mascara already smeared. Daddy, don't! She's manipulating you. Sit down, he snapped, surprising everyone. You've done enough. Kayla froze, then collapsed into a chair, her designer handbag hitting the floor with a thud. My father picked up the document, reading slowly. This doesn't ask for any money. I don't want your money, I want the truth. The truth, he laughed bitterly, is that I taught my daughters too well. One learned to take whatever she wanted, the other learned to keep receipts. Sign it, I said. He reached for his pen, but Kayla lunged forward, grabbing the paper. This will ruin everything, all our plans, Your plans, he corrected, your theft, your lies. But you taught me. You showed me how to hide transactions, how to blame others when things went wrong, just like with Uncle Brian. The room went dead silent. Board members exchanged glances. Margaret started taking notes. Give me the pen, my father said quietly. Kayla ripped the paper in half. No, I won't let her win. I pulled out another copy. I came prepared. My father took it, his hand shaking slightly. You really want the truth, all of it? Every ugly bit. He signed, then stood up. 23 years ago, I falsely accused my brother-in-law of theft to cover my own financial misconduct. Since then, I've orchestrated similar cover-ups 6 times. When my daughter Kayla began stealing, I helped her hide it. When she framed Rosalind, I chose to believe the lie because it was convenient. Margaret's pen scratched across her notepad. And the offshore accounts? All me. Kayla learned from watching. Rosalind, he looked at me. Rosalind was the only one who ever questioned it. That's why you had to get rid of me, I said. He nodded. Hard to hide dirt when someone keeps cleaning windows. Kayla stood up, tears streaming. You promised you'd protect me. I protected you too well, he replied. Now, sit down and face what we've done. The next hour was a blur of confessions, documents signed, and legal terms discussed. My father would step down immediately. The trust would take control. And Kayla would face criminal charges. You'll spend your 20s in courtrooms, I told her, as she gathered her torn designer bag. I hope your followers enjoy the journey. I hate you, she whispered. I know, but at least it's honest. After everything was signed, my father approached me. You could have taken everything. I didn't want everything. I wanted this. I held up his signed confession. What will you do with it? Keep it as insurance, and maybe... I looked at him directly, as a reminder that even you could tell the truth when pushed hard enough. He reached out like he wanted to touch my shoulder, then dropped his hand. Your mother won't forgive this. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm not asking for anything anymore. Uncle Brian was waiting outside. How'd it go? The truth finally came out. Worth the price? I watched my father walk to his car alone, shoulders slumped. Watched Kayla being quietly escorted to meet with the company's legal team. Watched 20 years of lies finally crumble. Ask me in 10 years, I said. My phone buzzed. Eli. You okay? No, I texted back, but I'm free. As I walked to my car, I heard my father call out, Rosalind! I turned. What you did... He paused. It was better than what we deserved. I know, I said, and drove away. The truth had cost me my family, but as I watched them shrink in my rearview mirror, I realize something. Sometimes losing a family is better than keeping a lie. Let them have their money, their status, their carefully constructed image. I had something better. I had the truth. And unlike everything else in my family, that wasn't for sale. The morning newspaper landed on my desk with a thud. Local business empire falls. Father and daughter plead guilty. Quite the headline, Amelia said, settling into the chair across from my new office desk. How does it feel? I glanced around at the freshly painted walls of my consulting firm. Surreal. 3 new clients this week, she noted, sliding over some files. All victims of family financial abuse. They saw your story and... My phone buzzed. A text from my mother, the first contact in months. Having lunch with Patricia today, it read. If you'd like to join. You going to go? Amelia asked, noticing my expression. Maybe. She's different now, quieter, more real. A knock at my door interrupted us. A young woman stood there, clutching a familiar-looking designer handbag. Are you Rosalind? I need help. My father, he's been... Come in, I said, recognizing the look in her eyes. Tell me everything. After the client left, Eli called. Saw the news. You winning? Not about winning anymore. I shuffled some papers. It's about fixing things. Speaking of fixing, Kayla sent you something. It's at my place. I drove to Eli's apartment, curious despite myself. He handed me a plain envelope. Inside was a $100 bill and a note. First installment. Only 824 more to go. What Anike? She's actually paying you back? Eli asked. Looks like court-mandated restitution is working. I tucked the money away. How's the community service treating her? Saw her at the Financial Literacy Centre yesterday. She was teaching a class on, get this, how to spot family fraud. I couldn't help but laugh. Karma has a sense of humour. My phone rang. Uncle Brian, got time for coffee? There's someone you should meet. At the cafe, he sat with an elderly man I recognised from company photos. This is Robert, your grandfather's former business partner. He has quite a story about how your father really got his start. Robert smiled sadly. History doesn't repeat, but it rhymes. Your father did to his family what he and your grandfather did to me. But you broke the cycle. At what cost? I asked. Truth always costs, he said, but lies cost more. Later that afternoon I met my mother at Patricia's cafe. Her choice heavy with irony. She looked older without her perfect makeup, but somehow more authentic. Your father's doing better in therapy, she said, stirring her tea. He talks about you. Good things. Real things. That's better than good. She touched my hand briefly. I'm sorry I didn't see it sooner. The fraud, the strength in you. We sat in comfortable silence, watching people pass by. No pretense, no performance, just 2 women having tea. My phone lit up with a news alert. Former CEO's daughter launches financial abuse prevention program. Kayla's really changing, my mother mused. She's trying, that's something. Back at my office, I found Margaret waiting. The board approved your proposal. We'd like you to conduct training sessions on financial transparency. In the same room where Dad spat in my face? I smiled. Perfect. Your father suggested it, actually. Said something about cleaning windows. That evening, Eli helped me hang the last picture in my office. The torn family photo from my box of belongings, now framed behind clear glass. Still keeping it? He asked. As a reminder, not of what I lost, but of what I found. Which was? My voice, my truth, my... A notification popped up. Kayla had tagged me in a post. A simple photo of her holding up a $100 bill, caption reading, 8:23 to go. Making things right starts with 1 step. I showed Eli. Think she means it? Does it matter? No, I realised, it doesn't. My phone buzzed one last time, a message from my father. The trust manager found another account. Thought you should know first. You were always better at cleaning windows." I sat at my desk, looking at the growing stack of client files. People seeking help, seeking truth, seeking their own voice. "Want to get dinner?" Eli asked. "Can't. New client coming in. Another daughter, another father, another story that needs unraveling." He nodded, understanding. "Karma's keeping you busy." "Karma doesn't just deliver," I said, straightening my desk. "She bills, and sometimes, if you're lucky, she leaves a tip." The last light of day streamed through my office windows, clean, clear, and unobstructed, just the way I liked them. Outside, the city moved on. Inside, I prepared to help another family face their truth. Not for revenge anymore, but for something better. Freedom. And that was worth every penny of Karma's invoice.